I'm at 180, and I'm wanting to get down below 180. Wow, looking in the mirror, it's making my face look older. And I've decided, okay, you know, I think I'm going to stop where I am.
Done well.
About 15 pounds. Or I tell people I lost 20 pounds of fat, put on 5 pounds of muscle.
I like to make you laugh. You're so cool. Thank you. Get her home with you.
I'm going to, when they do their thing, I'm going to say a few words about the employees. You can. I was going to introduce you. I was going to introduce you as to who you are.
We served on the planning board there
Yes,
for
yes.
a couple months. How you been?
Oh, I'm still here.
I go by your place and I just salivate when I go by your home.
Oh, it's going to be for sale, you know. Well, I filed for divorce, and and I don't want it. And I'm trying to find out from my.
Are you gonna get out of flying? I mean, those are beautiful.
I got out of flying when I crashed.
Well, I heard about the crash, but I didn't. I think you were gonna jump right back on.
Well, it's a tail wheel. It's my first tail wheel, and I said,
I haven't yet.
you know, I thought I never should have done this, and I'd go back to a tricycle gear.
Okay.
You know,
I'm looking to buy an airplane.
really.
Yeah. Not a tricycle. I've got a kit plane. It's a Hummel Super Cruiser.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Taildragger,
I'm familiar with
PW engine.
Yep. Yep.
Little
Familiar with the
airplane.
Hummel.
Yep. My father started it.
Okay.
And he didn't finish it. Gave it to me. And it's sitting in my basement. Been 10 years. Oh, I want so bad to finish it.
Well, my plane that I wrecked is repairable, and I have a full kit to build one from scratch. So I have all the parts to fix it, but it's just, I will say I lost the enthusiasm after that crash. I thought, oh, you know, I really did, you know, anyway.
I understand. I think any pilot would understand.
Yeah, well, maybe I might feel different in a year or so, but anyway, hey, if you want to.
Well, would you be like, would you jump in an airplane and fly around?
Sure.
Oh, okay. You
Sure.
just don't want to fly.
Well, I wouldn't want to, I would pilot a tricycle gear.
Yeah, okay.
And I always loved the powered parachute. I had a powered parachute for 5 years. Actually, what I did wrong with the tail dragger wasn't necessarily because it's a tail dragger. It's because I had not developed the right reflex. I was still flying a powered parachute subconsciously. I came in for a landing, I hit hard, I bounced a little too high, going around, shoved in the throttle, and something I wasn't used to is that the stick was in my left hand, which is not as responsive because I'm a right-handed person.
I see, yeah.
And, you know, with a powered parachute, whenever you got in the throttle, it would go straight up, and it always went straight. Well, I went straight up and then straight down, and I never moved the stick.
Is that right?
And I thought, and
It just stalled out on you then.
oh no, I hit the ground. I impacted the ground.
So you didn't lift, so you
And
sped up your,
oh, I sped up my descent. And anyway, but
well, we should talk more.
yes, yeah, you know,
I'm,
You're getting a little fuzzy in the page there. Getting back saving on razors, right? Yeah, you step back from your razor. A cat grew up, you didn't want to lick the milk.
An IFR capable airplane.
I should have got you a little earlier, shouldn't I?
see,
I know Pat from way back when.
I looked at IFR and I decided not. I mean, I'm more interested in the lighter end. Call me sometime.
You know what?
Get together.
Go through my mind. This is more like
Nope, too late, you're here. How you doing?
I'm just 60 now. Right, so I give myself another 10, 15 years before I get to a point where maybe I'm not comfortable.
You could go. Well, that all depends on your physical dexterity, your mind, everything, decision
I
making.
know, but
Everything slows
the
down.
investment in going to an IFR and the expense and the time and this and that.
IFR never interested me because that's not. I'm low and slow. That's me. I'm low and slow. That's why I did the powered parachute. I mean, you can't can't beat 25 miles an hour.
You get in the tree, you get in trouble, you just plug to the ground, you might get banged up a little bit. So that, but
Hey, a lot of people have put them down in trees and without a scratch, and then they tried to climb down the tree.
And
that's when they got hurt, because they stepped on a dead branch and they fell to the ground.
yeah.
But no, low and slow, the IFR thing, that's a lot. I mean, it's as much, I don't know, did you ever consider IFR?
I did, but I was just VFR.
Yeah. I mean, I figured that IFR was gonna be as much work as getting the original private. Yeah. And I thought, I'm not gonna.
No, I can see that.
Anyway, I'll give you some time. Yeah, I will. We'll talk. Sure.
Sounds good.
Show you my wreck. It's in the
Yeah,
basement of my
the
house.
full story on that, yeah.
Hey, Mark.
You out the door? I want to say hi.
I can run, so I don't get beaten up.
The dynamic on, not as exciting since she left, so.
Yeah, I haven't watched, I can't stop.
Who's he talking to?
Yeah, come over, I'll talk to you.
Yeah, let's.
Or I could get a pint with a hammer and we could shoot.
Yeah, I may take that. Sell something.
Yeah, come on over.
For you. For you. John should have had a larger van.
My class is at 2 o'clock. You know, I figured I'd have, Gary's gonna be here, me too.
After I'm trying to remember what he does. I almost think was it Corral or Purcell? There's a big outfit. You go down South Main Street. They manufactured something which is very high tech. I almost think you gotta wear a clean jumpsuit to be inside the place. It's, I think he's affiliated with that. He and I were on the planning board. They still televise? That's what I was looking for. They used to all have microphones in front of them, so they're wearing them. Okay. Now that you pointed out, I see that.
Good evening. Get the, everybody can get their microphones still on here.
Working on it. Are you on? Okay. We're on.
We're on. So, evening, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Monday, June 26, 2023 council meeting.
Chairs.
Roll call, all councilors are present. Number 2, we have the invocation and inspirational thought. We have Pastor Michael Sullivan here. If you could come to and introduce yourself formally and your parish and lead us in prayer.
Certainly. My name is Pastor Michael Sullivan. I'm from Caribou, Maine. I've been the pastor of United Baptist now for 4 years, going into 5. And it's been an honor to be here a number of times to pray over you in the town of Caribou. I'm excited for the recognition of outstanding citizens today and honored to be here with you all. Let's go ahead and open this ceremony and this day in prayer. Father God, we thank you for these leaders before us. We recognize that their burdens are great, that their impact, Lord, on this town is for good or for evil. And so we pray, Lord, that you would make them to be good leaders, to care about what you care about, to pronounce truth and justice in this place, and to be people that live lives that are admired by the citizens for their good deeds, for the work that they do, for their selfless acts. Lord, we pray over them that your hand of conviction would be upon them, that you would lead them, that you would use them for purposes greater than they could ever imagine for your kingdom and your glory. Oh Lord, we thank you for them. We ask your hand of protection over them always. Bless them, bless their families, give them peace in their homes. And Lord, we thank you for this evening that we have, that we can commemorate outstanding citizens, people who have selflessly given of their time and sacrifice from families and things that they could have done that might have seemed more important. But they wanted to make a difference, Lord, and so they gave of their time and they gave of themselves. And we just thank you for that Christ-like sacrifice. We ask your blessing over those individuals this evening and over everything that will take place here tonight. Lord, may you be glorified in them and in this meeting. We ask it all in the beautiful and powerful name of Jesus. And the people of the Lord said, Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So we, if everybody would rise, if they're able, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, here, number 3. Number 4, public forum. Do you have anything for us, Danielle?
No.
That came in via email. Okay, I'll open up the public forum. Does anybody from the audience have anything they'd like to bring forward to the council at this time? Okay. And on number 5A, we have the minutes, regular city council meeting, May 22nd, 2023. I think those are in our packet, and council's had a chance to review those. Any errors or omissions?
Mr. Mayor, make a motion we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Ballmer?
Aye.
Gahn?
Yes.
Morrow?
Aye.
Dario?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So we got some, fun, good things on here. We got 6A.
Got
we
fun
good-
stuff tonight, Jody.
Yeah, we do. And then, recently at our agenda meeting, we were talking about, there was some ownership transfers and that sort of thing. So I told Penny if we could invite some people down here. So we're gonna have the introduction of the new owners of Bichards Grill, John and Ray Rosignol. If you would like to come up to the, we have She's not, they're not here? Oh, they are not here, okay. So we'll hang on to that one. So then the next one, we have the introduction of the new owners of the Big Bang Theater, Michael and Pat Sear. Who's there? If you'd like to come up and introduce yourselves and
Thank you for continuing your commitment to our
and
city.
just, we got the free advertisement here, so.
Yeah. You're on TV.
We're pretty excited about it. Going to make some changes there and try to do some different events. We did Axe Throwing at Thursday on Street and Streets a couple of weeks ago, and it went pretty good for the first time. So we're going to try to do some updating of the theater, which I think it really needs. Just moving forward, we talked to Mr. Dow, and he was struggling there, trying to get people to come in. So we feel it's our job to try to change that. So that's what we're going to work on.
And you also own 2 other businesses,
Right,
Caribou, correct?
right, yeah.
Thank you for continuing your investment here.
Thank you very much.
It's a big deal.
Yep, yeah.
One up.
Thank you.
One of those.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And now we have 6C, we have birthday greetings, Caribou Boston cane holder, Anna Marie Roberts. I'll let Penny
So
handle this.
on July 5th, Anna Marie Roberts will be 106 years young. Mrs. Roberts is Caribou's oldest citizen and the holder of Caribou's Boston Post cane. And so the city would like to send their best wishes for a very happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And we have a card here from
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the council has signed. We'll get that in the mail.
So now we're going to 6D. We have the recognition of the Caribou Rehab and Nursing Center for 50 years. And I'll give that one over to John to.
First, I'll give you a brief history of the Caribou Rehab Nursing Center, which was provided us by Phil Sear. Caribou Nursing Home was built in the winter of 1972 and 73 by Albert Sear, Phil's father, potato farmer from Hamlin, just south Van Buren. The nursing home opened in May of 1973 with 60 beds. In 75, the home was expanded to 106 beds. Then in 84, another 4 were added, totally 110 beds. So we housed 110 beds at that facility. Changes in who the state would pay for in 93 caused a gradual decline, bringing the facility to 67 beds today. At a very drastic decline. In 2005, the name was changed to Caribou Rehab and Nursing to announce the new service providing rehab services for people with new joints or other medical issues. At the same time, there's a rather significant remodeling, renovations done, which provided for private rooms, which made it extremely nice for the people that were coming in from rehab. And I can tell you that they were very greatly appreciated. At its peak of 110 beds, Caribou Rehab employed 140 staff. Today they have 128 and are looking for another 5 CNAs where they're in short supply. And as you all know, one of the biggest things about any healthcare facility is that maintaining employees to staff people to residents is a very big issue, and it's something they fight consistently. People often say, well, why doesn't Caribou Rehab have more people? Why isn't there more beds available? Biggest problem is the staffing, and it's a very, very sad thing. The same thing goes on with home care agencies, this sort of thing, but it's something that people need to understand that it's a shortly dwindling staff, and Caribou Rehab has done a lot. If you look at the sign-on bonuses Phil and them have done up there, it's been a big thing. Okay, so Caribou Rehab has served approximately 3,700 residents in its 50-year history. In 2008, the federal government came out with a 5-star rating. 8 years later, in 2016, Caribou Rehab was the only facility in all of Maine that had never lost its 5-star rating. In the past 15 years, Caribou Rehab has lost the 5-star rating for a couple brief periods, but remains the #1 facility in Maine that has held the 5-star rating longer than the other facility, Maine nursing facility. I can tell you the 5-star rating It's something, as a past employee there, was something that was taken very at par, and it was a big thing to get, and it was a big thing to hold on to. Once you had a 5-star rating, everybody wanted to come in and kind of knock you down. But we, through the graciousness of the employees and everybody up there, we were able to hold on to that 5-star rating, and it's actually a very big deal. So I would like to congratulate Caribou Rehab and Nursing on their 50 years of service, and I would like to say to you that you've been a very proud member of our community for 50 years, very proud taxpayer, and employed more people than we could ever know of, and it's a very important issue for us. So thank you very much. Something I forgot to mention is that Phil is in the middle of relieving the reins now. It's hard to believe, but it'd be one of the last members of the family who overlooks everything. But Phil actually overlooks both Caribou and Presque Isle Nursing Home, and without his guidance, they probably wouldn't be still here today.
With me is Doug Heiss. Doug came on and is now the administrator of the nursing facility. He has been that since March. He actually came to me looking for the $20,000 sign-on bonus as a nurse's aide, and I said, "You want to be a nurse's aide?" Sure, and he became a nurse's aide. And shortly thereafter, he says, "Hey, you got any administrator training programs?" I said, "You want to be an administrator?" He says, "Sure. That's what I did in the military." And I said, "You got to have a bachelor's degree." He said, "No problem, I have a master's." And so I was like, "Well, let's talk." Anyway, so Doug is in charge, and we've had a very good run for 50 years, and we owe it all to our employees. A service business is only as good as the service that is given, and it is given by the staff. And our job, I mean, my advice to my department heads has always been hire the best people you can, give them the training, the tools, and the equipment, and get out of their way. Let them do the work that they were hired for. And we've been very successful, and you know, we've had literally generations. I've had, you know, people admitted that 20 years later I was taking in their sons, and 20, you know, and then it just goes on. So we've served multiple generations of people. And I do want to mention that John here, who was one of our employees for over 40 years, and as of the end of next month would mark his 45th anniversary as being on our payroll, and he still is a consultant and a part-time employee for us. So I recognize him for the many decades of work that he did. But no, we've got a good facility. Unfortunately, no more Sears want to be involved. The state of Maine has kind of beat us down and taken a lot of things out of us, and I'm in the process of looking to sell the facility. Nursing homes are going the way of grocery stores, banks, pharmacies, and that is either you get big or you die. So 2 facilities is not anything big, and so in this day and age, it's all about economy of scale, and so we're going to be selling to a chain eventually. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, would you like to present this?
Sure.
Wait,
Bill. Yeah, we got something here for you. I'll let John do this.
I got you a check.
By the nursing home.
Huh? On behalf of the City Council, this is a proclamation for your outstanding work and service to the City of Caribou. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yep.
Love you. Bye.
So now we got 68, which it's more good stuff on here. We got the Spirit of America honorees. We have Gary Cook and Keith Brown, and I can read this part of it. Beginning. The Maine Spirit of America Foundation became incorporated with the state of Maine on October 16, 1990. It was a 501c3 to establish a town volunteer recognition program. Every year, the Spirit of America Foundation tribute is presented in the name of 100 plus Maine municipalities. In the years past, the City of Caribou has selected honorees for the Maine Spirit of America Foundation tribute. The criteria for the award is set by the municipality, but should be a local person, group, or project that is chosen for commendable community service. The Caribou City Council selects the tribute winner and presents the individual or group with a resolution. The 2023 privilege granted to Maine municipalities to choose Spirit of America Foundation tribute winners expires on June 30th. At the April 24th Caribou City Council meeting, a memo was provided to remind citizens of the award and the opportunity to nominate someone for the honor. At the May 22nd Caribou City Council meeting, a memo announced the following nominations, which were confirmed by the Caribou City Council. First, we have Gary Cook of Caribou for his volunteer work in the Caribou United Baptist Church Food Pantry. Second, we have Keith Brown of Caribou for his volunteer work on the Caribou recreational trails. And I believe they are both here this evening, and I do have for Gary.
I do, yes.
The Deputy Mayor will read this and I'll make a presentation.
So the first thing that I would like to read is for Gary Cook for his commendable community service. Mr. Cook's name was brought forward by Deputy Tax Collector and Finance Assistant Denise Lausier. Gary Cook has provided many hours of volunteer service working in the food pantry at the Caribou United Baptist Church. The pantry was started in about 1996 when Francis Kirkpatrick of the CUBC Home Interest Committee said, "We can do better." After all these years, Mr. Cook says that the work has been done by a small crew but a good crew, and he says that they must have been called to do this work and that the power comes from the Lord. We thank him for his dedication to the citizens of Caribou. Therefore, be it resolved by the Caribou City Council in sincere gratitude and appreciation that Gary Cook is hereby recognized for his exemplary citizenship with the 2023 City of Caribou Spirit of America Foundation tribute.
Yes.
Do you want to get maybe like with the whole council?
Yeah, can we get the whole council in here?
It's just
Stand in
the
front,
light
Jody.
there doesn't always,
Just in front,
because
yeah.
I'll be
over
probably
here,
sitting
we
on
can
your
get
lap,
the,
Pat, but.
Mr. Cook, then we have this, well deserved.
For commendable
Thank you so
community
much.
service, be it resolved by the Caribou City Council in sincere gratitude and appreciation that Gary Cook is hereby recognized for his exemplary citizenship with the 2023 City of Caribou Spirit of America Foundation tribute dated June 26, 2023. We have the council names on here as well.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Don't stop now. Don't stop now, okay? Whatever you do, don't stop.
We also have the box over there, but if you would like to keep that.
Okay, we got one more if you
Yep,
want to.
we got one more here, if you want to keep that.
Here.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Absolutely. So we have one more.
Yes.
Let her rip, sweetheart.
Okay. Next, we would like to recognize Keith Brown. Mr. Brown's name was brought forward by Caribou Parks and Recreation Superintendent Gary Markey. Keith Brown has provided many hours of volunteer service working on the recreational trails and is a champion for the outdoor tourism economy. We thank him for his dedication to the citizens of Caribou. Therefore, be it resolved by the Caribou City Council in sincere gratitude and appreciation that Keith Brown is hereby recognized for his exemplary citizenship with the 2023 City of Caribou Spirit of America Foundation tribute.
Once again, we have the 2023 City of Caribou honors Keith Brown for commendable community service. Be it resolved by the Caribou City Council in sincere gratitude and appreciation that Keith Brown is hereby recognized for his exemplary citizenship with the 2023 City of Caribou Spirit of America Foundation tribute dated June 26, and that is signed by all of us.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's your chance to speak if you
So
want.
can we get a picture?
Yeah,
Gary, can you come up here and we'll get a picture with both
Yeah.
of you maybe?
Thank you, Keith.
You're welcome.
Love what you're doing with your hair.
Oh, you don't. Don't forget this. That's if you want it. That's all we get.
I don't
get
know
us
if
all.
Melissa Melissa probably wants to get a picture here.
Yeah, sure. Where's your plaque?
Yeah.
Let's get him his, let's get his plaque for him.
Did we
Well,
need
no,
to
we
do
gotta
the
wait. Yeah,
rest?
we're getting, I'll get him.
Yeah.
And we can see everybody here.
You're fine.
Yeah,
So
here.
Melissa, can you see everybody's faces or you want a ladder? Yes.
Gary, they still
Thank
let you
you
have
very
keys, huh?
much.
They still let you have the keys to church? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you both.
Absolutely. So we'll get to more fun stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Go to, on page 7A, we have a dangerous building public hearing regarding 7 Water Street, map 31, lot 171. I will open the public hearing at 6:20 p.m. Penny? We don't have, we don't
Well,
have,
right, so this was introduced at the last meeting by our former code enforcement officer, Ken Murchison, who's been working on this since there was a fatal fire at 7 Water Street on January 25th of this year. On February 13th, a legal notice of condemned building was sent. March 13th, a legal notice with a second notice of a condemned building was sent. The property was not insured, but the North State Federal Credit Union had forced placed insurance on the property, and so they were made whole and discharged that mortgage in April of 2003. On April 24th, a final notice of a condemned building was sent. Mr. and Mrs. Bickford filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, so that happened on May 15th. On May 22nd, the code enforcement officer presented 7 Water Street as a dangerous building and requested that a public hearing be set for tonight. And there was a tax lien certificate for 2022 that was filed May 26th. And there's also one for 2021. So tonight we'll be having the public hearing, and if warranted, the hearing notices will be signed by the council. That will have to be recorded in Holton. We'll have to send one to the owners, the Bickfords. Then they'll have a chance to respond to that. We'll have to, then at the next meeting, they'll have their chance to come if they, after receiving that signed hearing notice, and we'll go from there. But you can probably see it out the window here, so you don't, We know that it does look pretty bad, and the owners around the property are kind of held up into what they can do with their properties because of the state of this property. You have pictures in here. You've got a copy of the tax card. In here, there's pictures that Mr. Murchison took in the winter. There's copies of the different notices that have been sent. There's pictures that were more recent after the snow melted too, but you can see that it's certainly in a bad state of repair.
thank you, Penny. Does anybody from the audience or from council want to speak on behalf of this? State your name and your address.
Yes, my name's Christopher Ledger. I represent the Bickfords. And I talked to Attorney Solomon earlier about this. There's some procedural defects. I don't know if he had spoken with anybody.
I haven't talked to him yet.
I don't know if there's been any return of service returned as far as the hearing notice for today, but I'm not aware of them being served with them.
No, we have something to, if they judge that they need, that it's a dangerous building, then we have a hearing notice for them to sign, to send to the Bickfords for the next meeting.
Okay, but they haven't been served with a notice of today's hearing?
No.
Okay. So the hearing's not in order for today, then?
Right.
Okay. When would the next?
It will be July, is it the 24th,
I believe.
24th? Yeah, 24th.
So they had heard through the grapevine there was something on the website, which is how I found out about it. I represent them in their Chapter 7. I went and found it. They do have to be served with notice of this, and I'll work with Attorney Solomon, obviously, so that we can get this resolved. The dangerous building statute is not going to resolve the big pit that's in the ground, you know, finding anybody $100 a day and all that sort of stuff. But we do procedurally need to get this done so that I and Attorney Solomon don't have to spend a lot of time to unwind legal proceedings that lacked notice in the first instance. So that's my concern right now, that we do the proper paperwork before anybody does a hearing, signs documents and that sort of stuff, and record things with the registry.
So in other words, what you're saying, the only thing we're missing is actual legal notification to the Bickford estate, okay, or family about this proceeding here tonight.
Well, Title 17, Section 2857 requires that anybody with an interest in the property needs to be served as they would ordinarily be served under the main rules of civil procedure before there's any hearing on the dangerous building. I know that the owners of the building would have an interest in the property. Potentially also the trustee in bankruptcy would have an interest in the property as well. You know, I'd leave it to the attorney for the city as to whether he feels he needs to serve the trustee in bankruptcy as well. I did mention it to him that he might want to check the website and maybe get in touch with the city. But, you know, I doubt that his interest is basically to stand in the shoes of the creditors, so I doubt that he's really going to have much interest. But if you look at it technically, the statute says anybody who has an interest in it should be served. And then once that's done, I think, you know, obviously probably July is probably the date that it should be set, and then we can have the hearing. But, you know, realistically, this is probably a matter that should be resolved hopefully by the attorneys rather than going through the necessity of entering orders and, you know, filing with the registry of deeds and all of that, because ultimately that's going to find that it's a dangerous building, which we already sort of know what the end result is. It's what do we ultimately do with that? You've got two people who are going to be discharged in bankruptcy and have no ability to either take care of the building or rehab it. The asset, as you described, was insured by the mortgage company. It was forced place insurance. There was an overage. And as I mentioned to Attorney Solomon earlier today, the city should file a proof of claim. I don't know what the return on that's going to be, but there are some small monies that are going to be in the bankruptcy estate. But the city should file a proof of claim along with any other creditors who exist. And it's going to be some sort of, you know, pro rata return, but whatever the claims deadline is, that is probably going to be the limitation of the recovery. So that's all. I think that's all I've got to say, unless anybody's got any questions. Maybe my neighbor has questions.
I'm just, nope, but I guess, so apparently what you're telling me is that, or telling us, okay, is that our hearing today, okay, public hearing is voided, because we didn't actually, no, go ahead, your turn, you asked.
No, go ahead. I
It,
didn't ask anything.
Because we didn't notify the correct party who's the property owner, is that correct?
They weren't served.
They weren't served, like legally by the sheriff, whoever had to serve them papers? Okay.
Right.
We're going to go to Joan. Joan's got it next here, then I'll go back to Dan.
I just got a quick question on that. I'm looking at, was there an attempt to serve them? Because there's forms here that.
Well, that was, those were from notices, from like notices of violation.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
that's what those are.
Because it doesn't look like
Right.
they've even sign for those, so.
Mhm. I don't think they did sign
Okay.
for those. I think they
Okay,
came
so
back.
because it looks, there's three, I think three,
Yeah.
three notices here for that, so they didn't, okay.
Isn't the purpose of the public hearing tonight and our decision to determine whether we want to issue a notice of
Right,
hearing?
that's how we've done it before.
Isn't this what
It's
the
like a
attorney
notice
is
of
saying?
hearing, and if
Yeah.
someone-
And so this public hearing is not out of order. This public hearing is to determine whether we are going to sign that order, the notice of hearing, that then will be
Be
served.
served on them.
Is
That's
that
how we've
correct?
done- That's
Is that
how we've done
correct?
it in the
All
past.
right.
We've had a public hearing to decide if the council kind of hears what we have as staff, to see if they want to go forward with that, and then that's why you have one to sign for us to send to them. That's how we've done it in the past, I guess.
Except the way it was noticed on the website, it said that the officers of the city of Caribou will hold a dangerous building public hearing to determine whether the building located at 7 Water Street is a dangerous building or nuisance, which says that that's the purpose of the hearing.
That is not the purpose of tonight's meeting. It's only to determine whether we are going to do a notice of hearing.
That's why if you look on this document, it says the notice of the actual hearing will be published in the Aroostook Republican on 7/5 and 7/12.
Right.
Correct.
And so I don't think there's any necessity to do anything that's been put in the minutes, or for anybody to basically take any moves whatsoever today. But certainly to sign a notice is something that's not not a formal procedure whatsoever. I mean, anybody can sign the notice, and frankly, I do these myself, write up these notices for cities and towns, and, you know, they're issued and served. But the way it was noticed, I think, was going to result in a lot of confusion.
Okay, well, noted on that.
Any more questions for the attorney? Or-
Pat-
Does anybody else have any questions?
Hadn't we already, prior to this, at an earlier meeting, determined that this, as well as other properties, were dangerous properties? I thought we had already made that
Well,
decision.
we're going through the process.
Okay, and this is
It's
just
a
one more step of the
process.
process.
Yeah.
Step by step.
Anybody else from
It's pretty
the council
obvious.
or the audience want to speak on
Anyone
this
with
public
eyes?
hearing? I'll close the public hearing at 6:32. What are the wishes of the council? How do we want to proceed? Do we vote to make this a...
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we deem the property at 7 Water Street, map 31, lot 171, a dangerous property.
Oh, we did that.
I'll second that. Do we have any discussion on that? Is that a proper motion? Is that
Well,
what
and you
want?
can sign the notice of hearing. I mean,
That's all we're...
he doesn't seem to think we need to have that in the minutes, but
Nah.
I think it's, if you're
No, I-
going to
I
sign
believe
something,
it
it might
is.
be
I
a
mean-
good idea to have it in the minutes that
So
we're
that's-
signing.
so that-
This notice of hearing.
So that...
That's
That's
all we
really the
need.
purpose,
The
yeah,
motion.
the notice of hearing.
So, any other discussion on this, Bagley?
Voting.
For discussion?
Well, no,
Or for a vote?
Vote.
Oh,
Did
okay,
you
that
have
went
more
very
discussion?
quickly. Well, I was just going to
Go ahead.
suggest that maybe we amend the motion to focus on approving the notice of hearing as opposed to determining anything, just to cover.
We've already determined it. We already had that exact motion at a previous meeting. I think you did it too, John.
Probably, but I will make that amendment to my motion.
That'll be clear.
Yeah, make that
Keep
amendment
us-
to my motion, yeah.
Okay.
So,
It's the same thing.
Before I amend the second, so what's the motion? To be clear.
Okay, so that we make the property at 7 Water Street, map 31, lot 171, a dangerous building, and we take into consideration the hearing that we're having tonight. I mean, bad with wording here, so it help me out here, Dan. I mean,
So that the public hearing will be held as scheduled? is that
yeah,
right?
exactly. Public hearing will be held as scheduled.
With the notice being signed?
Notice being signed.
Hey,
Thank you.
is that somewhat clear?
Is that somewhat clear, Tanya?
Same things last time with the formal.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, well, then I'll amend my second, I just want to make sure it's clear. So do we have more discussion on this? So let's go with Bagley.
Thank you. Yes, aye.
Okay, okay. Wilma,
Aye.
go on.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, not done.
So, next we have another public hearing for dangerous building, hearing 24 Park Street, map 35, lot 73. We'll open the public hearing at 6:34. And I'll give this to Penny to start with.
So this is, I've worked for the city for 13 years, and literally the first week I worked here, someone called about this property because it was vacant, and it's been vacant all of those years. So in June of 2010, the city received a letter regarding an impending foreclosure. And later, the next month, a legal notice of violation was sent to the owners. One of the owners died. There was a complaint for foreclosure, but it was never finalized. Over the next few years, several legal notices of violation were sent to the surviving owner. In 2019, there was an email from the surviving owner to our code enforcement officer saying she didn't believe she was responsible because the property was in foreclosure. Different property maintenance companies have come to that property on behalf of a lender, one in 2020 and one in 2021, just to affirm that it was vacant. It was a process that was started by the state of Maine at one time. In May of 2022, a final notice of violation for a nuisance or dangerous property was sent. And on May 22nd, the code enforcement officer presented 24 Park Street as a dangerous building and requested that a public hearing be set. And then, so while Mr. Murchison was here, he shared with you at the May meeting that the property management company, on behalf of the mortgage company, said, tear it down, send us the bill, we don't care. I'm paraphrasing, but you remember the conversation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
in an odd turn of events, on June 15th, 2023, as I was preparing everything just to see if there was anything new that was recorded, I found that the mortgage was discharged. So,
Different bank.
well, no, it's just discharged. It wasn't assigned to another bank. So the surviving owner owns the property with no mortgage. I guess they decided they didn't want the liability of having the property torn down. So they thought their best way out of that was to discharge the mortgage.
Wow.
I called the CUD because the CUD liens that were on file with the registry had been paid, but I did call them, and there's no liens presently, but there is a bill for, I think it was $570. So they still are billing them, but there's no one living there, and I don't think there's been anyone living there, like I said, for 13 years. So the next step, we're having this public hearing now. You're hearing what you've got in your packet, all these different notices of violation, different information about the property, and you know, if you feel that it's warranted, then you can sign the legal hearing notices, which again, we're going to try to get served on her. We've tried many times to try to contact her about the property, but she still contends that she doesn't have any interest in the property. So I even tried to reach out to say, you know, you own this property and you don't even have a mortgage on it anymore, but I didn't hear back from that either. So that's where we are on that property. You can see CEO Murchison has pictures here from different times he's visited the property. There's some serious foundation issues there. I actually saw it for myself during this process, getting ready for the hearing, and the years have not been kind to the property. And it's too bad, because it's a wonderful neighborhood and it's a nice looking property. If you were just driving by from the street, it just looks like, you know, maybe someone didn't come back from Florida this winter, from the winter.
Where is she on paying her taxes?
The taxes are all paid by the mortgage company.
So eventually, probably, she's not going to, after this.
Well, after 3 years. I mean, the 2022 taxes are paid.
Okay. The concern, however,
is that it is a dangerous building,
Mhm.
and there are a lot of children in the neighborhood.
Mhm.
And if one of those children meanders over on that property and, I mean, the basement,
It's
part of it's
open.
wide
Yeah,
open, they
that's
could
right.
fall in, and we,
That's right.
you know, and then we're talking about like way bigger issues. I
Mhm.
mean, I've spoken to several people, but one person who lives there and literally chases kids away from the property
Oh.
during the day because she's afraid something's going to happen.
Mhm.
So it's got to be taken care of.
She's not interested in selling it?
I don't know, she hasn't returned the last communication we had was that she didn't feel she was responsible for the property, because it was in foreclosure. And we'll just keep trying to reach out to let her know that she is indeed responsible, and they've discharged the mortgage, and so she has control of the property.
She could probably, because it's such a nice neighborhood, she could
Yeah.
probably sell it.
It's a nice big lot,
And
too.
get a, get a, granted, not top dollar, but get something for it, and that someone could move in and take care of it and rebuild.
Mhm.
A lot of nice neighbors around there too. I mean, the homes around there are just absolutely beautiful.
Mhm. He's teasing you, but, so that's what I have on that.
Anybody else from council? On the public hearing, anybody from the audience? Yeah. Come up, please state your name and address.
Mark Lewis. I just was curious about the discharging of the mortgage situation. So they owed money on the house, and then they didn't, and then the mortgage company says, okay, you don't have to pay? Is that how that
Pretty
worked?
much.
That's all I wanted to know. I don't know anything
Mhm.
about it. Thanks.
We all should be so lucky.
I wish I would do it for mine.
Yeah.
I wondered about that. How does this work? Okay.
There's not a sign-up sheet somewhere, in case you're wondering.
All right, I'll sit down and be quiet.
Oh, that's fine. We still
Yeah.
have the public hearing still open.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything they want to discuss in the public hearing regarding this property on 24 Park Street? We'll close the public hearing at 7:42. What are the wishes of council?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we consider the property at 24 Park Street, map 35, lot 73, a dangerous building.
Second.
And we're
And-
going to do what?
And we have to add the thing that Dan says.
Notice of hearing.
Notice of hearing.
Second.
Discussion. Bagley?
I wonder if I can just,
ahead.
could you remind us, the attorney made a comment earlier about, this process isn't going to fix the hole in the ground. And can you just remind us again what road that we're going down, how this is going to solve the problem, what the process is, and what the end result will be? Because I've forgotten, I've lost track of that.
Okay, so in the past, when we've had a dangerous building action, we've gone through this process, which I know seems very redundant, because we'll have a series of public hearings, we'll have a chance, we're depriving people of their property, so you want to make sure that you're doing things the proper way, and you want to make sure that they have every opportunity to correct the defects of their property, just like we've been through with other things. So in the past, when we've had different things happen. We've had people that have fixed their problems, and we're happy about that, and they go on. We've had people that have torn down properties at their own expense because they were deemed dangerous buildings. Then we've had situations where the city has had no choice but to tear down the building. So when that happens, we add, with the next tax commitment, after that is all done, we have to, first we send the people a bill for the work, and they have to have a certain amount of time to pay that bill.
Isn't there a court proceeding between that time? Does the property eventually convey to the city?
Only if they haven't paid their taxes. So when we,
Right.
do a special assessment on the property,
So we tear it down without
Tear it
owning
down.
it?
correct,
After it's been declared by a court that it's a dangerous property?
dangerous building.
Got it, okay.
And then we have the special assessment, and if they don't end up paying that, then the city eventually ends up with
Okay.
the property.
Okay, thank you for that.
It's how we got birds
I'd
eye.
lost track of
Yeah.
how this
Yeah,
process
that
is
works
different.
well.
Yeah, that
Okay.
worked really well.
Steam
Yeah.
factory too.
With the fence up and everything, okay. Any other discussion on this topic? So a motion and a second. Call for a roll call. Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Aye.
Gone? Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. With that, now we got 8A, we have the tax acquired property bid at 8 Shirley Drive. An offer's been received. Well, Carl, please. Carl, discuss this to us.
Evening, Mayor, Councilors. Page 99, we received an offer for 8 Shirley Drive, map 37, lot 18, by Viking Group LLC for the full minimum bid of $18,100. And just wondering what the wishes of the council are.
I make a motion that we accept the offer of $18,100 for map 37, lot 18 at 8 Shirley Drive.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion. Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Gone?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. So while Carl's right there, we're gonna go right over to the, our April financials.
So on page 100, looking at the May financials, total assets, $9,068,803.24. Cash on hand, May 31st, of $4,399,661.50. Moving down 3/4 way down the page, the 2023 tax receivable, we collected $43,871.48 in the month of May, and a total prepay through the month of May of $269,124.33. And that is about 7.6% less than last year, around $22,000 less. Moving on to the next page, the total liabilities at the bottom of the page, that's $6,480,770.58. Moving over to page 104, the fund balance at the bottom of the page, $2,588,032.66. Moving over to page 107, the expenses for the month, the middle column, total expenses were $638,910.59. And we are at 32.7% of our total budget, which is about 9% less. But as you can see on the contributions on line 75, once commitment hits, we'll pay those contributions, and also capital improvement will be paid once those, or will be expensed, excuse me, once commitment happens, which will actually increase our expenses year to date. Moving over to page 112, our revenues for the month were totaled $697,319.02. The percentage to budget is 23.49. It's about 18% less than our budget. But again, once commitment is hit, the tax liability and the assessing lines will increase dramatically. Side notes, the excise for the month was $204,593.66, and that is the largest month ever of excise collection without special circumstances. Those special circumstances was the couple months after COVID. We saw a huge increase, but we had saw decreases in a couple of months prior to that. So, thank you to Danielle and her staff. It's a lot of work collecting that many motor vehicle excises for the month of May, so they did an excellent job. Year to date, we are $41,374 compared to last year more, and that's about 0.5% above our budgeted total. And I'm pleased to announce that revenue sharing got back on track in the month of May. We're at $255,157.49 collected. Our year-to-date revenue sharing is $1,123,598.80. and that's about almost $14,000 higher than our budgeted projection. So that's looking good. Since the last 2 months prior to that was under budget by almost $80,000. So
The revenue's coming in.
revenue share, yeah, that's revenue share from the state.
But even excise tax, I mean,
Yep.
as a whole, I
Yeah,
mean,
very good, which I would suspect a lot of communities aren't seeing that good of excise, just the way the economy is, so.
Mm.
And availability of vehicles.
well, everybody's selling a lot of new vehicles.
That's all I had, unless anyone had any specific questions.
Questions for our finance director? Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the financials as presented.
Second?
Motion, second, discussion. Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Vaughn?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrell?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Carl. Absolutely. And another good part of one of my favorite parts of the agenda, manager's report. Take it away, Penny.
Thank you. So on the riverfront power plants, we are working on the required items for the Brownfields grant of $900,000 that we received to remediate and tear down the diesel plant and other smaller buildings at the power plant site. We did get that news, I think, since the last meeting, so this is, I guess, our official announcement of that. The EPA and DEP are initiating what they call a CERCLA action plan to remove some of the contaminants from the area. So this will save us some money for our Phase 2 grant, which would be for the steam plant. And representatives from the University of Connecticut will be on site here July 11th and 12th. So we have been receiving a lot of technical assistance through the University of Connecticut Technical Assistance to Brownfields program and their Municipal Assistance to Brownfields program. So we're excited that they're going to come and see the project. I think they'll be able to help us even more when they fall in love with Caribou, like everyone inevitably does when they come to visit. So Karen Gorman and I are going to be attending the Brownfields Conference in Detroit so that we can learn how to best use this money and best move forward with a second Brownfields grant. And I'm also happy to say that I found out on Monday that they had a little competition. I don't say little, it was a nationwide competition for different projects. You could submit your project into a competition called the Perfect Pitch competition, and 3 were selected nationwide for the chance to compete in Detroit to receive some pro bono consultant work, and our project was selected. So I'm
Oh,
very
that's cool,
excited
yeah.
about
Yeah,
that.
that's cool.
So if anyone has any, they liken it to Shark Tank. So anyone who
yeah,
watches
yeah, yeah.
Shark Tank,
Yeah.
if you have any pointers for Karen and I, we only have like 8 to 10 minutes to pitch our project and why people should invest. Some of the work that they do is to help us find people who might want to invest in the project or invest with the remediation of the site. And of course, that's something, once we get everything cleaned up, we want something nice there. And so they're going, if we win, and we're going in it with the spirit that we're going to win, we'll get this consulting work, pro bono consulting. And anyway, we're very excited. We do our pitch, they ask us questions. I guess it's just like the show Shark Tank. I haven't had a chance to watch any of those episodes, so if anybody knows of any good ones, let me know, because we really want to come home with that money. And anyway, so that we're excited about that. So that's all about the power plants. Broadband, the Caribou Utilities District did discuss this at their last meeting, and I did reach out to Charter Spectrum about the line extension, and they're still working on their contract with the Maine Connectivity Authority. I reached out to Maine Connectivity Authority, who said that there were some changes in the federal language of the grant program since they made the awards, so that's where the holdup is trying to reconcile the language between what we're doing here in Maine and this federal money that it's tied to. The next Thursdays on Sweden Street is this Thursday, June 29th. Our theme is a salute to veterans as we are coming up on the 4th of July holiday. And we still have our flags up from Flag Day, so we thought it would be a good theme. Live entertainment will be No Pressure, and the Northern Maine Brewing Company will be your hosts in the Outdoor Cafe. We have lots of food trucks, so everyone needs to come hungry and bring your family that's also hungry. There's going to be so many different choices, and we just hope everybody will come out. And you can do axe throwing at Big Bang Theater. So I mean, we literally have something for everyone at Thursdays on Sweden Street. And honestly, if you can't find something fun to do and leave with a smile on your face, you're just not trying. So many great things.
And you're gonna have your booth there too, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have my city booth there, you know, to listen to whatever complaints people have.
When do we get to throw things at the mayor?
I don't know about throwing things at the mayor, but
It's awfully close to the axe throwing.
yes, don't get too close to the axe throwing for sure. But I'm gonna be quite far. I checked to see where Gary put me, and it's nice and far away from the axes. I mean, they could throw me through a window, I guess, if they could pick me up, but that's about it. The ARPA, so in my report it says we're waiting from Aroostook County Commissioners, but we actually got an email today from Steve Pelletier, who is the administrator of the county ARPA program, and he's told us that we have been awarded our funds for new turnout gear for the fire station and a body-worn camera system and radios for the police station.
That's
So
cool.
we're very excited about
That's
that. And when I saw Ryan Pelletier, he said that there were only 2 applicants from the first round that were awarded something also in the second round. So I'm very excited that we were able to do that for both. Caribou Development Committee, we will have our second meeting, well, this week. I said this last week for Friday, but our first meeting was May 31st. We have a very energetic group that are anxious to do big things here in Caribou. Riverfront Master Plan, we did submit our MBRC application. We should have an answer in August about that. The ATV snowmobile storage on Aldrich Drive, I did meet with Mr. Jaros last week and provided him some additional information about that site, and we had a good chat. And also his son Nathan was there, and he had some good input too on, you know, what we need to be doing out there with snowmobiles and ATVs. Business outreach, we've had 2 local businesses have changed ownership, and that was on tonight's agenda, and we thank them very much for continuing to support Caribou. I actually, over the weekend too, tried the new pizza place that was at Reno's, the Diodio's or whatever. Karen and I tried that. We were working on comp plan stuff, and it was very good. For tax acquired property, we had that on the agenda tonight, and there's a Supreme Court case from a property in Minnesota that may affect tax acquired property process here in Maine. So MMA and other attorneys are working on that, and we're just waiting to get guidance from them to see if any of our policies need to change based on that court case. For the Nylander, proposed bylaws for the Nylander Museum of Natural History Board of Trustees is on tonight's agenda. The fire structural work, Sewell has done some work on this issue recently. The police station, the Public Safety Committee met via Zoom with Ellen and Rob on May 24th, which was after our last meeting. The trailer park closure, it's supposed to be closing in July. We have 2 of the 3 families that are trying to get assistance from our housing authority here, and Lisa is working very closely with them to try to find them other places to live before the park closes down. The airport, the Citizen Advisory Committee met on June 13th. Comp plan update, the last session was May 25th. We had planned to have something on the 20th, but that didn't work out with a scheduling conflict at the Wellness Center. And the topic is recreation, but we are rescheduling that. Oh yeah, July 20th. We were supposed to have it like May 22nd, and that didn't work. Excuse me, June 22nd. 15 Prospect Street, the city did receive a response from Mr. Moretto. Age-friendly efforts, we had a meeting on May 23rd. There's another meeting tomorrow. Personnel changes, all positions at the Caribou Fire and Ambulance Department has been filled. Under other updates, I have about the pro bono consulting work for our reuse project competition. Administrative approvals, extension of premises for Evergreen Lanes featuring the Rendezvous Restaurant was approved June 2nd. In the DOT Village Partnership, Jared was here on June the 8th. So the next step is for DOT to finalize the scope of work for the plan. And I'll take any questions that anyone has.
In regards to 15 Prospect Street, so what's the next move with that? I mean, are we just basically?
No, I just have to check with Rick.
Okay.
We got this response back that
Right.
came from Rick's office. I just have to check in with him again.
In regards to the Riverfront Power Plant and having the people from Yukon come up here, are they a big group, a small group, or?
I don't know yet. I think, I'm picturing 3. There's 3 that I tend to deal with
Yeah.
the most.
I think it'd be cool if we could do something for them, or take them out to dinner or something. I mean, they've been a very, very big help in this project,
they
and
certainly have.
be more than glad to provide whatever, I think it'd be a good gesture.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find out exactly what time they'll be arriving, leaving. I don't know if they're driving, flying. I
Yeah.
don't know any of that yet. They just asked me to check those dates, so. But I can I'll let the council
Be
know
nice to
when
know.
I find out more.
Questions from the audience or council for Penny? Go ahead, sir. Just come up to the microphone, please.
Mark Rose again. One of the questions I have, and I'm really interested in this, and I think it would be a revenue source for the town. When you have tax acquired property, wherever 15, that last one you had, what was it, 15 on the street there, you're gonna, and 24 the other street in Park Avenue. When you do the tax acquired property throughout the city of Caribou and Van Buren offer quit claim deeds. Quit claim deeds mean that there's, I don't know exactly what it means, the attorney's area, but that you can come and get the property. Somebody else, we've discussed this before. If the town has on council, you could make more money by offering a clear title. And I wondered why nobody's doing that between Van Buren and here, and I think I own property with quitclaim in the Midwest, and I think it's a national thing. And I'd like to hear what you had to say about that, that's all. Thanks. I'm done, thanks.
Well, I guess I would defer to Carl with that. He handles our tax acquired property, but.
Quick claim deals with.
I think it comes down to legal fees, research for a clear title. I don't think a lot of communities in Maine do that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yes.
And then it's up to the owner to.
Right, if they want to quiet the title, they
If they
can
want
do
to acquire
that.
the title.
I just would want to add this. I think it might be cost effective if you could have, you got a council here, I don't know if they charge a lot, what Solomon does, but you could offer the property with clear title. And yeah, it's like buying American things versus going back and forth, and when I go down in Prescott, I'm real careful what I buy from Lowe's. I have own tools. If you could offer that, I think that you could find that you could get a reduced fee by an attorney to increase the tax base. And, there's gotta be a way of doing it. It's not really all that
I think we took audience
hard to do
participation
this.
for the manager's report. When did that start?
I don't know.
Well, we can look into it. How about that?
Accommodating people.
I'll be
Okay.
quiet.
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
I agree.
So we're going to go to, comes up the manager's report. 9A, we have the introduction of the Nylander Museum bylaws.
And Peter, yeah, Peter's gonna say he
Peter is
was
here,
out.
so this is just an update on this. Recently, a few months ago, the council, the Nylander was kind of at a standstill, so we appointed a working board. I believe they've met a couple of times. Joan's going to update us later on that, to get it open and running again. It's baby steps, so the first thing they've done is come up with some bylaws. And I think they were in everybody's packet and signed by the board. The bylaws will need to be approved. That way the board amongst themselves can appoint a chair and that sort of thing. So Peter's here to answer any questions, or does council have any questions regarding this?
So, Mr. Mayor, do we just need to make a motion to accept the bylaws as presented?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think the committee has done a really good job. We're no sense questioning them. I mean, I think I make a motion that we accept the bylaws as presented.
Second?
We do any discussion on that? Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Gahn?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So the next one, 9B, this is only, this introduction ordinance number 3, there's no discussion on this. This would only be an introduction if a councilor chooses to introduce it, and then we will set a public hearing at a later date. So, what are the wishes of council? I believe that's on page 123.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we set a public hearing date.
No motion, just
Oh,
introduce,
oh,
just
okay.
introduce it.
Introduction.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
So, Councilor Morrill has introduced ordinance number 3. And we'll set the public hearing.
Number 3, yeah.
We'll set the public hearing for that as recommended at our July 24th.
You can get a read on what it is. Read it, the document.
We can? Do we have it in here?
Yep.
Yep, it's on 124.
125.
And 125.
So, you want me to read it?
I'd like to know what's in it.
Okay.
You
So,
want a copy? You want a copy?
I can read it and I'll get you a copy as well. The Caribou City Charter, Section 501 budget is amended as follows. Underlying text is added, stricken text is deleted. Submission of projects to voters. All capital improvements projects involving $500,000 or more of municipal funds shall be submitted to the registered voters of the City of Caribou by holding a referendum vote thereon. If a majority of ballots cast a referendum questions favors approval, the improvement project is approved. The next this is the stricken language, provided the total number of votes cast for and against the referendum question equals or exceeds 65% of the total number of registered voters in City of Caribou at the time of the election. Continuing as a project is defined as a complete list of capital expense purchases combined together to build a building, purchase vehicles or machinery, provide a service to the citizens of the city, or a combination thereof, and not currently part of the city schedule.
But we already voted on it. The citizens already voted on it.
Correct.
And the purpose to bring this back again is what? Somebody's brought it forward.
Somebody brought it up.
Somebody should be able to explain why this is coming up.
Is this something we could discuss at the public hearing?
Yeah, correct, but we can,
Yeah.
yep, we can. And we'll give you a copy of this, Doug. So, get that behind us. So now,
Public hearing for next.
public hearing will be set for July
24th.
3rd or 4th, 24th.
24th.
So now we get the resolution, okay, first read for the MOU for the Dust Bowl. I think we've all read this, I don't think we need to get into too many details about this, we can just move forward with this, unless council has some other wishes.
I had some questions. If
Go
I
ahead,
may.
absolutely.
It wasn't clear to me on the schedule which events are held held where, and specifically on city property. If you could
Yeah,
add.
Troy and
Well,
Tim
just
are both here.
add that to the, we don't have to resolve it tonight, I'm
Okay.
just saying.
Well, so it's just the activities on September 15th, which you'll see that's what's dated on the MOU, is the 15th. So the items that are on the 15th, those are the ones that will be held at the Wellness Center.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, so that's correct, yeah.
So are those events going to be charged for in order for city residents to be able to enter?
Correct.
Okay.
The shows.
The shows,
They have
correct.
shows here for the Ravex stunt show is going to be on that day, correct? So
So-
people can come to the food trucks, right? Or,
Just,
Come on up, Troy.
Come on
I
up.
can explain it, I guess essentially what we were looking to do was close that area of the street off with the barricades and then charge a small fee of about $10 a person to come in and watch the shows, enjoy the fireworks from there, enjoy the music, enjoy the food trucks, the rides, because there's also like, we have the zip lines going in and the mechanical bulls and all those sorts of things and games. That's all part of it for the $10.
15 for ages 13 and up. Okay.
So what did we do for liability insurance during the Snow Bowl?
So each vendor, so every vendor that, like food services, they all have to have a certificate of insurance and list the city
Yeah.
of Caribou and Spud Speedway as additionally insured.
Okay.
The Ravex Show provides an insurance package for them.
So we'll do the
In this-
same?
Yeah, and in
Okay.
this case, the rides company will have to have a state license and provide the insurance for that as well. And then Spud Speedway as a whole carries an insurance over the whole Dust Bowl event and lists the city of Caribou as additionally insured as well.
Can you say, is Spud Speedway actually a legal entity?
It is. It's
Okay.
Spud Speedway Incorporated.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that the document was, okay.
Yep. So it's insured by the vendors that are there, insured overall by us as a secondary insurance covering the entire property.
So the
With
time-
the city of Caribou
The
listed.
time involved with the city employees setting up, and, I mean, I think, I see that their time is rather relevant, okay, setting up barricades, do that sort of thing. Is there any reimbursement made to the city as far as their time goes?
No, what we're asking in the MOU is that the city would provide that service to help us bring this to this community and have it there. Yep.
So just as a comment generally to the rest of council, I guess to whoever's listening, I mean, I appreciate the interest in trying to monetize these events, and I think it's a great idea, it's good for everybody. But I'm concerned about the precedent that it may be setting going forward. What happens when the next guy comes in and wants to use city facilities to make money? You know, how are we going to say no to that? Case-by-case basis, maybe it would be okay, but we really have to think about that. Nothing, you know, against this, I support it fully, but we are setting a precedent, because I don't think we've done that before.
Well, so I can remember when Idella was young, they would have carnivals set up at Teague Park, when Teague Park was city property. And they had rides, and, you know, that was all, you had to charge for that. I think they had a circus
There was a
there
circus.
before, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they've had them before at Teague Park. It's just now our Teague Park is over at the Wellness Center.
Yeah, as long as everybody's
Yeah.
comfortable with that.
And the idea, just to maybe put a little light to it, I mean, the cost of these things that we're bringing in is pretty astronomical if we were to share the
Oh, no
numbers.
doubt.
Your eyes would bug out of your head. I think the Snow Bowl, we had, what, about $90,000 invested in that. We didn't charge, other than just to go watch the races. We wanted to show the city and the community what we could do and what we could bring here, top quality. You know, the act that everybody enjoyed at Ravex Show is something you'd see at Aspen, Colorado at the X Games. And so we brought that to Caribou, and we want to continue to do that, but we just have to get enough money back in the pool to cover the cost at least and find our way through it to do the next one, you know, so that's the idea. It's not that we're trying to charge an outrageous amount or anything like that. So for the fee that we're charging, people are going to watch a show that they would pay $20, $30 in most places to see at a minimum. You're going to get you're going to get to ride a zip line that's included in the price. You're going to be able to, you know, do axe throwing and do the mechanical bulls, and there's lots of food choices, antique tractor shows, you know, all kinds of things for people to enjoy. And we're also trying to, as we did with the Snow Bowl, we're trying to involve the community aspect of it as well. Like the FFA is growing giant pumpkins, and we're going to have a giant pumpkin drop. Dean Staples is going to bring his crane, and we'll drop a giant pumpkin, and the FFA will sell the, every foot is $10 donation or something, they'll go up 100 feet, they'll make $1,000 for dropping a pumpkin, so, there's a whole element of community aspect and scarecrow contests, all that sort of stuff, like we did with the snowball.
Looking forward to it. I like what you've done too, putting some structure, on our event planning, with an MOU like this, laying out roles and responsibilities, so it's maybe not so chaotic in the planning and such a burden for city members who are supporting it, so thank you for doing that.
Well, we're trying. This came from Jim and Troy, so.
Yeah.
But we met to really iron everything out ahead
Yeah.
of time, and, yeah.
It's good.
And just for your knowledge too, we are working with the EMA to develop a complete safety manual that will be distributed out to all law enforcement, emergency services, so that if something were to happen either there or at our speedway, everybody would have the plans and action plans and who to contact and all the steps going forward. So that's because of the amount of people now that we understand what we got from the snowball, you start to need some of those things. So we'll have that all done, obviously, with the EMA as well, which the city is.
Right, and we've
the
already met
departments-
once
yeah.
with them about
So the
that.
departments have been really good and working with us and Penny, and I think that's coming together nicely.
I think Lou had some comments.
I'm going to kind of bounce off what Dan had said about setting precedent. Do we charge if someone was going to use, like if I wanted to use the rec center for a family function? My family's pretty big, so we probably, do you have a charge for that?
Yeah.
See, and that's where I'm concerned with precedents, because I think it's a wonderful idea, and I support it, but if we allow, yeah, sure, go ahead and use this chunk, the next person coming in, it's always gonna be, but you let him do it. So that's just a concern. And then even the police, I'm gonna assume that will be time and a half for most of them, so that's an additional price tag. So those are just things to consider, but it sounds fun. I don't think I'll get into the axe throwing, but I'll pass on that.
So I guess what I would say is the event that we held in the winter obviously helped. The idea, let me back up. First of all, we have a facility of our own out on 209 Thompson Road. We
Right.
could host the whole thing there. That would be simple. The idea of bringing it to town was to bring the community element into it and help. The whole goal of this is to help other businesses like the hotels, the restaurants, gas stations, all the different craft shops, all those kinds of things, and any civic oriented organizations that want to get involved and raise money for their fund, for their fundraisings, things like that. They've all been, and it worked very well. And we've spoken to all the restaurants. They all had waiting lines, every single one of them. All the hotels and Airbnbs and all that stuff were all sold out. So the idea worked. And I would compare it, if we look at a Thursday on Sweden, we spend money down there as a city, right? I would say that collectively, we don't probably have a lot more cost for the city in doing a Thursday on Sweden than what the city supported us with on the snowball from a cost standpoint, or true cost. I would bet it's very similar. The impact was much different, though. Certainly, the impact was widespread for 3 days, and it got a lot of attention to the community, so.
And I would
hopefully that's
assume
what-
it would be limited staff that you would need to utilize.
Yeah,
for
we're
the
gonna,
city.
we're gonna staff everything other than the fact of we can't do fire and ambulance,
Right.
right? We can't do police, we can't do those things, and obviously Gary graciously helped us out a whole bunch, and we can't be more appreciative of that, and his staff, obviously is probably the one that takes the most abuse, I guess, because we use the wellness, people go use the wellness center, the bathrooms, things like that, and but again, I think the whole thing as a whole is we're just trying to be two guys Jim and I bringing in a community event that everybody hopefully benefits from, and it grows into something, big for our community that we're known for.
It's a great concept, public-private partnership, and everybody's chipping in, and everybody benefits. I think it's a great model. I'd like to see more of it.
And I would say if there's other people out there that want to put the energy and effort and the risk into it that Jim and I do, it's just more benefit to the community if there's other companies or other people that step up and want to do that, so welcome that.
With that said, I'll make a motion that we enter into the...
Counselor Gahn has
Oh, Mark, go ahead, please. Sorry.
I'm going to have concerns with the city providing services as needed, but not limited to, and then there's the list. concerns about that?
Like, you mean,
The cost.
the cost?
And the precedence that it sets. And I appreciate the effort that the men are doing, but there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of things to bring people. There's a lot of other businesses that are doing things to bring people to Caribou. And someone's gonna have to need a fire truck or an ambulance at a station. That event should pay for that extra service, regardless. That's the precedence. And that's just an example.
Jody?
Right.
I have no problem with Gary working and helping. You know, I have no problem with that. But if we have to bring in an extra police officer in these budgetary times, without having a true understanding for when the next person walks in and says, hey, I want this. So, I just have an issue with that. You want to, anybody that wants to come use the wellness center, I guess you, case-by-case basis on the fee to get in. Boy, there's trouble there too. That's a city asset also. So, but I guess I could, this is too ambiguous for me to know what this is going to cost us.
So do you think that going forward, would you be more comfortable with like a permitting process, like bigger? Because we've talked about that too, that maybe what we need is like a permit that would say, okay, if you're going to need an officer, this is how much it is an hour. If you're going to need fire, you know, an ambulance sitting there, and make it a permit.
I have
you know.
no problem with exploring that as a guideline.
And I think we'll learn a lot from, you know, having an event and seeing, okay, this is what we needed for that, this is what we needed for this, and so that can give us kind of a model for the next time, and maybe develop a permit. Because we've talked about that too. You're not for a permit, I mean.
No, I'm not for, but I'm not for setting a precedence.
Can
That's what happens.
Can I maybe interject too, just maybe some knowledge that isn't shared amongst the counselors of this? In our meeting with the EMA and the police chief and things like that, there apparently sounds like there was funds available for the
Stone Garden grant.
Yeah, and so that was being applied for, so that would cover and pay all the time and a half. It sounded like, and then some. It sounded like it actually was going to be a benefit to the police potentially, because they could tap into those funds because of the event. And it would more than cover their costs, and they would see actually a benefit.
See, that makes a little bit of a difference.
So is that a given? But that's not a given though, is it?
They're
It's not a
applying
given.
for it.
We're applying, the plan is to
Yeah.
apply for those funds, but it sounded like it met the criteria.
Yeah.
But it has to be over so many visitors is the, right? That was,
Yeah.
what it had to do
So-
with the threshold of how
so
many visitors were.
Essentially, because we live on a border town, there's money available for bigger events. And when when you hit a threshold, which ours would meet based on the Snow Bowl anyway, basically, there's funds there for Chief Gahagan to tap into that pulls money in, that pays for surveillance, pays for things that we most likely may or may not even need, but the funds are there from the federal government. So it sounds like it's just a matter, and I'm only speaking from the meeting based on what Chief Gahagan shared. It sounded like, and also Darren at the EMA, sounded like that was kind of, it was just there and you just had to fill out the paperwork to get it when you triggered the amount of people and the thresholds, which we will do. So I think that part of it, the police costs and things like that, should be covered. Shouldn't be any extra additional expense to the city.
John, next. So basically, the way I look at the whole situation, which I think is very, very good, but I look at it as like a waterfront concert type situation, what they're doing in Bangor. Waterfront concert situation, big promotion, what they've done down there for the city of Bangor, utilizing, city resources, whatever, that sort of thing, but everything comes at a cost. The waterfront concert promoters don't utilize city services without a cost. So, and I think that's kind of the way I look at it, okay? Now, because the biggest part, okay, that gets me, okay, is that, so you're going to charge people in our downtown area, okay, when you do your thing downtown here, they're going to have to pay to get in, $15 or whatever your cost is here, okay? Now,
and we're gonna be providing free services, or the way it seems right now, possibly not free services, depending on this grant funding thing or something, which we don't know 100% about yet. So, so I look at it, okay, I look at this idea as of a private promoter coming into town, yes, granted, bringing business into town like they do in Bangor, but at a cost to the municipality. Okay, you have to remember, okay, again, like I coincide with Councilor Gahn, okay, during these budgetary processes here, and what we're faced with here, it's money, you know, and and so we have to be concerned about that as well. And I think that if we would not be, how should I say it, respectful to the taxpayers if we didn't acknowledge that. Okay, you know, we understand, we want events, we want things to happen, but if we don't acknowledge that there is always an expense, then, so I think that's the big thing. I mean, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I think it's from a business standpoint, okay, we'll say a business standpoint, that would be the amicable way to look at it. So, my thing is, what I would like to know, okay, in regards to this grant funding deal here, there.
We can check, I mean, Chief Gahagan is on vacation right
Right,
now.
right,
but,
right.
You know, I can find out more information and send that to the council.
I think that would be nice to know. I think that nothing that says that what our understanding is, but I think that it's kind of vague, and that we have a chance to recover some of our expenses. I mean, you guys have expenses, but we have expenses too. And God say whatever you want about Gary, but it still costs him money, okay? And it costs him money to be up there, and his staff, the building, whatever. So I think that we need to have a full business plan. I guess the term I'll use on what the event will encompass. I mean, I think that anytime you do a business adventure, which is basically it is, between the city of Caribou and Spud Speedway Inc., okay, whatever, we need to see it'd be nice to see a full business plan.
So just a real quick comment on the waterfront, just to put it in perspective.
Right.
Bangor did make major investments in the waterfront
Correct.
area as a city to get that even brought there to begin with.
Right.
And then they invested in, I think they had some tax increment financing on the property. And
To the developer.
They've done some pretty big investments to get that.
To the developer.
So, I mean, I think, like I said, I look at it and I kind of put it in perspective. If you think about it, it more or less wouldn't cost more than a Thursday on Sweden that the city does support currently from a financial cost standpoint today. And you're not, for all your businesses in town that pay taxes and all the hotels and all the things that it brings to town, I don't think you could find an easier way as a city to get a bigger return on your investment from a city standpoint to support all your businesses. That's all we're trying to do. Again, we can easily take it right back to Spud Speedway and host it there. We have all the room, we have bleachers, we don't need to do all this, but we really want to involve the community. That was the whole aspect of it, and maybe Jim, I don't know if you have any.
Well, I would.
Joan, I got Joan next, please.
I would say exactly what Troy said. I mean, if you take the Bangor waterfront, that just didn't start and be a success overnight.
Oh, no.
So the city, we're looking for the city to invest to help us put this on. The other thing I'd say is, if you're thinking about the expenses, maybe there's a tiered system or a waiver. Year one, it's X. Year two, we're expected to do this. We don't know how many people we're gonna get. We could get 8,000, we could get 3, we could get 4. I mean, we have no idea, but, you know, we're trying to partner with the city to put this on. And we would just like to have it downtown, if we can't have it downtown. And the other thing is too, is time. You know, we've got commitments that we've made, so we gotta know one way or the other if we can host this downtown. If we can't, we'll pivot and do it at the Speedway, which is fine, but I think it brings a lot of value to the city of Caribou with the businesses, with the downtown element, and the community as well, with the school and the FFA, so, I mean, that's just my 2 cents.
Okay, I think that if we're going to make any changes or come up with a policy or anything else, not for this one. I think we should go down the road, see what works, what doesn't, come up with something. But right now, you guys are starting to make your plans. Your Snowball was a phenomenal success. I have no doubt that this is gonna be the same way. I love, love, love Thursdays on Sweden. I love going down there, and I think that when you see the turnout of the people, they do too. And I think this would only help people, only help you and the city and everybody else to have it at the Wellness Center, to have it in the downtown area, wherever. I think you're gonna blow it away just like you did for the other one. And I think that we should go ahead with this, allow you to do it, and then make some changes, whatever works, whatever doesn't work. Later, come up with a plan, have a meeting, come up with a plan. But I think that we should let you go through with this one right now so that you can know what you're doing and not keep waiting for the next meeting and the next meeting and the next meeting. Start.
So, Courtney?
I agree with Joan, absolutely. I think this is a wonderful project. And I just think it might make some of the folks on the council more comfortable too, if we could just say, okay, well, we're gonna, cap it at this number of people from Public Works that will be needed, or this number of people from the rec department. That way everyone has an idea going into it of how many people to expect that we may need to pay for, or not, depending on this grant funding or however that might work. But that might be helpful to have an idea in everyone's mind how many people that would involve.
From an example standpoint, I guess you look back at the snowball, and I wouldn't expect it to be larger, actually less, because we don't have the Public Works Department involved really on this one. It's just the, more or less it's the Wellness Center, and then.
And most likely it's just gonna be 2 staff.
Right, it's on a Friday
That time of
too,
the
it's
year,
not like it's.
I don't have my summer staff, so Snowball was only two staff that worked it, and it was volunteered. And then same with Dust Bowl, I don't see us having more than 2 staff.
So it should be pretty easy to
Yeah.
quantify that and put it in the agreement or the memo of understanding, and that way it's clear to everybody and no surprises. That's a good suggestion.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead with my original, I'm gonna make a motion that we enter into the MOU for the Dust Bowl as proposed.
Well, I thought this was a first read.
Well, I brought it as a first read. If you're comfortable with it, we
Okay.
can move forward.
I'm
I mean, it's
making- I'm
a
making a
month
motion.
until our next meeting.
I
but-
seconded it.
Do we have further discussion on this?
Well, I would like to see that staff requirements
staff
quantified in the MOU prior to voting on it, so.
Any other
Would
discussion?
it be possible that we could just include that information? We could still vote to allow it to move forward, but maybe just agree that we're going to put a number in here?
I mean, I'm sure we can come up with a number. I mean, Gary's already told you for the
Yeah.
rec.
Yep.
Any other-
Firefighters will volunteer for the Snowball.
Paid call volunteers volunteered to help us. They were happy to help with it. I can't speak to the Dust Bowl, but my gut feeling tells me they probably would be willing to help.
I feel comfortable with that.
Any other, well, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this? Bagley?
Was the motion amended to include the information on the MOU? Was that what I heard Councilor Moulman just say, Bona say?
So
I'll
Mayor
amend it.
Smith made the motion, so are you amending it to include like a note in here about the staff time? Or as presented, because your motion was as presented, is what I heard. Is that what you heard, Danielle? That's what the motion was.
As
was
presented.
As
No,
presented?
I'm not going to amend my motion. I agree with
And I
with Joan on
second
that,
that.
that we can talk about this later, but this will move forward.
But I can get that to you.
You can get that
Yeah.
information to us.
Right.
I think that's fair enough.
That's fair enough. I mean, I don't want to amend it that way.
Doesn't
So
have to be that.
so we have still a motion. Any other discussion on this? Bagley?
No.
Boma?
Aye.
Dawn?
No.
Warno?
Yes.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Yes, yes, sorry.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. And I'm skipping 9D tonight, so I don't want to. I'll be brief about this.
Doesn't that take a vote of the council to skip over an agenda item?
I believe it can
believe
be
it does.
tabled.
No, we don't have to do either, I believe, do we?
pretty sure we do have to move to
If you want
to
to move it,
defer.
to table it for later, you should have a motion to table it for later.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we table and we move item number 9A.
Yep.
D.
D.
To a later meeting.
Second.
Discussion. Bagley.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
No.
Morrow.
Aye.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Reason for that is we're waiting for more information on our tax assessing, and we will most likely have to have a special meeting.
Yeah.
I believe last year, I don't want to get too much discussion on this, last year we set the mill rate August 1st, you told me this morning. I know it's later than we should, but
It won't be that late. I just
we're
have
wait-
to.
we're waiting on more
Yeah.
information.
Right.
on
But
that.
it could have been discussed. We
Well-
could have discussed it.
What are
We
gonna
could
discuss?
have, give the people, taxpayers of Caribou an idea of what we're facing there. That we actually are going through a pretty serious revaluation, give them a heads up.
Right.
That some of these homes are gonna go up, some more than others, and that this classic, there's just a lot of things we could have done. Nobody was asking to make a decision, but we don't even we haven't even told the Caribou taxpayers when the next meeting is to do this.
Well,
What are we gonna do?
It's
Wait and
most-
have it at the end of the July meeting, when everyone's tired, and put it at the end of agenda?
Most
and
likely, we're gonna-
try to do it that way?
Most likely, we're gonna have to have our meeting that we chose not to have in the first week of July.
Well,
I mean, that's-
that was the vote of the majority of the council to do
But-
it
but-
that way.
but in this
That's fair
situation,
enough.
we're probably gonna have to
We
do
live
that.
with it, but I'm just saying, this is a very important issue,
Absolutely.
and just to not say nothing tonight. But council voted. Let's move on. It's very frustrating.
Open mic here, we'll start with Dan.
Yeah, I just, having heard Counselor Gons, I have to agree with that, and I kind of regret that I voted to defer this. I think we should have had a discussion, but we can have it next time. No, the only thing I had to say, we have a grand opening scheduled for the 28th for our community garden. Just a reminder, that'll be at 12:30. Maybe Gary has more information on that. 12 o'clock it is. Food, games, fun for everyone. Come on out.
What's the date again, Dan?
It's the 28th. That was it.
John?
No, nothing.
Courtney?
Yeah, a couple of things. I know Penny mentioned earlier that the Public Safety Committee did meet with the folks from Artifacts back in May. Not that there's a big update there, but I believe we're waiting for them to come back with a date when they can come up here and actually take a look at the site. And I don't know, have you heard back from them, Penny?
Just about financing, that's all.
Okay. Okay, so hopefully we'll get some information on that so that we can start moving forward at looking at the site itself. The other thing I wanted to mention was I wanted to give a shout out to Gary and Parks and Rec and the volunteers who have been maintaining the ATV trails because they are awesome.
Mark?
No.
Lou?
I'm good. Yeah, just wanted to let you know that we've met twice. The Nylander board has met twice. You've approved the meeting, the bylaws tonight, and Peter is doing a really great job running the meetings. You've done a really great job. We have a good board, I think, in place. Diverse board that's going to, I think, really take the reins and get the museum up and running again. And I think they may be able to do it right around the beginning of the new school year. And they've got some good plans, so they're doing a good job. So, good for you.
Okay, so the last thing is, well, here, we're talking about the next meetings. We'll set the next meeting for July 10th. Are you comfortable that we can have the?
I certainly hope so.
Okay.
I think
So that
so.
we'll set it right now.
Okay.
And that'll be, basically be the agenda item we'll be discussing, setting the mill rate, rather than wait till the 24th, or whenever the next one is.
So, Mr. Mayor, I wonder if I could just bring this up. Would it possible to maybe consider having a work session prior to that meeting? I think, as Counselor Gahn pointed out, there is a lot to discuss, and it may be a good idea to have a short work session first, just to get our arms around it, so that we can meet that July, I guess, goal.
We can consider that, we can, consideration.
Yeah, because I'd be willing to do that, for sure.
When would you want to schedule a workshop? I'll see if I can get Joe to come up.
Let's figure that out.
Okay.
Let's plan on the 10th for a regular
For the
meeting.
meeting.
For the meeting, and if we can get something in between there, workshop.
Thanks
way.
for that, yeah, I think that would be a good thing.
I agree with Mark, we don't need to push this off, but if this will be the only, if we do our meeting on the 10th, and this will be the only thing on the agenda, so we'll have plenty of time to discuss
That's
whatever's on here. I mean, we're not
And
gonna
work
do
session,
stuff.
right, do it all
If it's the
then.
only thing on the
don't do it all
agenda,
then.
then
Right.
We just do it
that'll
all
work.
right there, and whether we
Okay.
vote or not,
I'm going to have the topic that I was trying to speak on tonight, the referendum question
On the
that'll be the
24th.
24th.
on the 24th.
Would be the public hearing, so that'll be on there, but, so on the 10th, we're just gonna discuss mill rate, that thing. Let's consider that all a full work session, if there's nothing else on there that doesn't come up. So, you're gonna schedule I've asked
Yes.
the charter
For
committee
charter
meeting
committee,
to look into the possibility of moving, of the city going to a fiscal year as opposed to a calendar year, but be discussed.
We can do that right after the meeting, if that's okay with you.
That's
Come up
fine,
with the
that's fine,
time.
that's fine. So we've got it set for what we got, and you'll get us that information, whatever you can, and maybe Joe can be available for that
Yeah, I'll see
meeting,
if I
whether
get
he's
him to
via
come up
Zoom
on
or
the 10th.
whatever.
On the
And
10th.
this is a very important thing.
Yeah.
So, what else do we have here? That's our next meeting, so 24th to 28th, and no executive session this evening, so
Make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Bagley,
Aye.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Mono,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
9-8.
Willie,
Aye.
Aye.
The feasibility study, did that get finalized and sent in?
And then we can make sure she gets this.
We sent me the draft document.
I don't think we have anything yet that is satisfactory to USDA.
Has something been submitted since our last conversation?
I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look at my email and see when,
So you were just saying we
see
do it
when,
right
what
after
the
the
last
meeting, or
thing
do
I
we wanna
sent
do
to
it
you
at
was.